We are off to the races on 1842 Day. I'm joined now by Marcus O'Sullivan, the coach of the Villanova track and field team. Coach, you have a very impressive resume from a college athlete, four-time Olympian, and you've also contributed to Villanova's history of producing Olympians. So let me ask you, when the summer games were canceled a couple of months ago, what did that mean to your program?
Villanova's program has always had representation since 1948 in terms of having somebody from Villanova at the Olympic Games. So it did mean a significant implication for us because Patrick Tiernan was on the Australian team. He was getting ready for the Olympic Games. I was coaching him. We were at a lot of workouts, and we were talking about, is it going to go on? Is it not going to go on? And to be honest, it was frustrating. The idea of not knowing whether it was going to take place or not was bringing more anxiety to Patrick. And I think when it was cancelled, there was a sense of relief. And the relief is explained by the fact that most athletes, they need to know when it's going to happen. They need to know exactly how it's going to happen, the time frame that they need it. And I think not knowing those elements leading up to it were very, very frustrating. So there was definitely a lot of disappointment. There was years of work that had gone into it. But at the same time, there was a tremendous sense of relief that, all right, I know where we are right now. It's going to get moved a year. Let's take a break right now in the whole season and get some rest and then build back up again. And I think that was a sense of relief in its own way.
And you are dealing with some of that uncertainty right now, not knowing when you can compete again. So what are the challenges you're facing with your team, and how do you keep them connected?
I think the challenges are overcome by this ideology that I've always maintained, that sport, like anything, it's just a medium. It's the lessons that you learn, the journey that you take, and those lessons, in my mind, when you leave the sport, because eventually sometimes you're going to have to at some point, you take those lessons and you apply them to whatever it is that you're faced with for the rest of your life, whether it's a career or your family, any struggles that you have. You're going to revert back to those kind of elements, as I would call them, in terms of like focus, staying on task, showing up, really showing up every day, and being meticulous and being perseverance and all that kind of stuff. And so I think a lot of it is taking those elements and being able to apply them to, unfortunately for these young kids now, it's just this out of the blue, real life experience that you weren't expecting for a few more years until after the sport was finished. And here you are applying these rules and regulations to something else. So what we try to do is, and what I try to do is to keep them focused, get them to understand that the same characteristics that are required to being an athlete can be applied here, because this is a real life situation. This to me is a competitive situation. It's you against the act of surviving. And so getting them to understand that obeying the rules and social distancing and keeping your face masks on and doing all the things that are necessary are requiring goal-oriented people that are persevering and tenacious in terms of like, I'm going to stay on it, I'm going to stay on it, I'm going to stay on it. And I've even said to my team, this is going to be the biggest team competition we have ever experienced in the history of our program. And the way I look at this when I retire is that this could be the greatest team of all if we can pull this off. If we can get to the other side of this semester and we've survived and we went to school and we managed everything in spite of all the challenges that you guys are faced with. And as a college student, you want to go out and have some fun. I mean, it is about socialization, and having the restraint to resist that, I think is so challenging. And so we constantly in our meetings are just reminding them to stay focused, to stay on task, and that the outcome will be successful.
And over the past couple months, we have seen an increased focus from Villanova and the rest of the nation on some very important issues like social inequity and diversity. So how have those developments affected your program?
For me as a head coach, the first thing I started to do was just to make calls to past alumni, black alumni. And taking that information, taking those conversations that started to emerge from these phone calls, allowed me to see things that I had never seen before. And I think ultimately what we were trying to, alumni and myself, we were trying to come to the conclusion what is needed as we move forward as a team. And I think the thing that most seemed to come up in those talks was having conversations, really talking about these things, because they really do make a big difference. They really help you to understand where everyone is coming from. And then trying to take those elements and move them into the team and see how we can transition with the team. And I think what it has led us to at this point is, having a mentorship program for a Black alumni with an incoming student athlete.
And I bet that's only made your program stronger.
Absolutely, absolutely. And one of the groups that's formulated out of this summer is a self-improvement group, which is just let's have conversations about these things. And to extend it beyond the Black Lives Matter movement, but all marginalization in terms of marginalized groups, and talking about these things and trying to get to a better place. And there's no better way to do it than through the art of conversation with the team, and to try and make our team stronger. And I think we are going to become stronger because of it. We're a strong team as it is, but we're going to become stronger.
Now, another cool move that I heard you made in June was kicking off this Run Nova virtual 5K. So tell me about that run and who benefited from it.
Well, I think it was very improvised to begin with. It was normally on Alumni Weekend in June, we always do a run on campus, and this year, in lieu of that, there was going to be a virtual 5K. So it was established very, very early. And then as the social unrest and the COVID came together, it seemed apropos to kind of let's make it mean something. And ultimately, that's where we ended up and arrived at is let's sponsor the COVID emergency fund for families that might be struggling during this time, and also the Office of Diversity and helping to promote and also to help fund through the funds that we made during the run. But I think what was really, really encouraging was the number of people that showed up. And this is virtual. You're not really quite sure how it's going to all work. It's not like you're coming to one location. There's people from Europe, from California, from all over the country, and they're doing their thing, and they're sending in photographs, and they're doing their 5K. And the modest donations all added up to being something significant by the time the whole event got finished. And I think it was so rewarding to see it all just unfold, but to be honest, it was just improvised, and it came out really well, and I kind of hope that we can continue to do it.
Oh, that would be awesome if you continue to do that. Now, when you guys are able to start competing again, what are your outlooks for next season? Who should we keep our eye on?
I think on the men's side, we have Casey Comer and Andrew Marson, who are coming back from a fifth-year COVID relief type NCAA sanctioned additional year. And I think they're great leaders. I think it'll be very interesting to see how that unfolds. And the team is maturing on the men's side. The girls are a younger team. But I'm really excited about what's going to happen after this is done. I think people are going to be so energized, coaches and athletes, to just get back out there. I'm looking forward to it more than ever before. And it's just going to be an exciting time. And I think it'll be fun.
Well, we are cheering for you and your Wildcats, Coach O'Sullivan. Thank you so much for joining us on this 1842 day. And your gift to the cross-country team, along with the track and field team, will support these student athletes in Villanova's rich history of success in the track and field program. You can check out this campaign at 1842day.villanova.edu.